To track or not to track? What do I do? Well, when I first started keto, I tracked. And actually, after almost a year of keto, I am still tracking. The reason being, I needed to know what was in my food. I needed to know how much food I was eating. And so I tracked, and I still do that today. These past 3 months or so, I've been feeling like I needed a change in a lot of areas, from some of the foods that I was eating to some of the exercises I was doing. And one of the things that I never thought I would do was eat intuitively. So eating intuitively is pretty much not tracking. You just eat based on how your body feels. Yet I'm a firm believer in tracking. So how does this work for me? How do I continue to track but eat intuitively? Well, I found a great balance between the both of them, and that's what I do now. I was listening to another Instagrammer explain how she does intuitive eating. And what I learned from listening to her and a lot of other Instagrammers, even YouTubers or anyone doing keto, is that even though they eat intuitively and don't track, at one time or another, they did track. So I took the best of both worlds and combined them and put them together, and this is what I'm doing now. So when I would track, actually, let me backtrack for a second. I also started to read a book called The Keto Diet. I haven't finished it yet. And in the first few pages, they talked about how they intuitively eat and how we shouldn't be a slave to tracking, to the numbers and the micronutrients and the macronutrients. They said sometimes when you put in those numbers, because some people put the numbers into like MyFitnessPal before they eat for the day, and it's your macros, it's your goals, so you feel like you have to eat all of that food that you put in there. It's not like you're overeating because you're eating what you had scheduled out. But what I noticed was that when I would do that, sometimes I would get full. And instead of just pushing the plate away, I would go ahead and finish it because I tracked it. It's in MyFitnessPal. I'm not eating. My body needs this. So I would go ahead and eat those things, but I would be full. And one of the things that she said was, don't be a slave to it. So what I started doing now is I still track. I still go ahead and put in my food for the day if I know what I'm going to be eating all day. Sometimes I'll put it in right before I eat it because I'm home, so I always know what I'm going to eat. So I'll sit down, I'll go ahead and put it in, up to, whatever my calories and nutrients are for the day. But our body has this natural way of signaling us, telling us that it's happy. It's done. It's finished eating. So when I would finish eating, or when I would feel full, I would stop. Even if I hadn't finished what was on my plate, even if I didn't meet all of the nutrients for today. And that helped me break through a plateau. I realized I was overeating, yet when I plug in all my information into MyFitnessPal, it tells me this is what I should be eating, this is how much of it. But when I started eating based on how I felt, I started losing weight again. I was in a stall for about 2 months. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see my 61 pounds lost post that explains what was going on. But there were so many things that contributed to my stall. I cut back on cheese. I switched up my exercise. So there were a lot of factors. But today we're talking about tracking versus not tracking. In the beginning, I tell everybody who I talk to, definitely track. You need to know how much you're eating. You need to make sure you're getting the right amount of food in. Your body needs to adjust to that. Track and eat more fat. So when you get further along in your journey, you don't have to track if you don't want to. I am still going to always track. Maybe when I get into maintenance, I'll lighten up a little bit, but I found that balance between tracking and not tracking. I track what I'm going to eat, but I only eat until I'm full, even if I hadn't eaten everything that I tracked. So the choice is yours, depending on where you are in your journey, if you should track, if you could do both. Definitely in the beginning, I suggest everyone tracks, because we got to where we are because really we didn't know how much we were eating, what was in our food. As you get further along in your journey and you're starting to fill your body out and you're paying more attention to it and you know what it requires, then yeah, play around with intuitive eating, tracking, or both like me. And this is where I've settled. Almost a year into keto, I decided to track and eat intuitively at the same time. And it's working out beautifully. The choice is yours.